Ons is 'n signee as Suid-Afrika aan die UNFCCC. Dit is nou al reeds nou al vir hoe lank al en jy gaan sien dat die Paris Agreement aan. En as Nersa nie die reguleringskapasiteit het om vir Eskom aan te spoor en aan te moedig om geregtelik oorgang te maak na 'n hernubare energiesysteem toe nie, dan gaan hulle aanhou aan hulle besig is. Hulle gaan aanhou met steenkool mense besoedel en dan hulle eie werkers ook besoedel, die myners besoedel en beskadig. Daar was nou reeds massas aksies geweest en hulle maar niks kon daarvan nie. Daar sal moet 'n geoptreerde forensiese audit gedoen raak sedert die begin van 1994 of voor dan, sodat ons kan uitvind presies waartoe al die sentjies gehardloop het, wie hoeveel grote bonuses gekry het terwyl daar verliese is, want ek verstaan nie 'n besigheid wat die wins maak nie, kry die mense bonuses. Gewoonlik as hulle besigheid is, as die besigheid die wins maak hy toe, maar soos ek gesê, dis wanneer hulle besit nie, hulle is nie 'n maatskappy vir wins, hulle is nog 'n staatsmaatskappy. Hulle trek hulle aan 'n baadjie aan. Hy manteldraaier van Eskom om stopgesit daar. As hulle 'n staatsmaatskappy is, dan moet hulle ten volle verantwoordbaar wees vir die staat. Want anders gaan die mense daaronder ly. Ons die armes, ons kan al reeds nie bekostig nie. Die bietjie free basic electricity wat ons kry, dit hou jy nie eens regtig 'n week uit nie. Nou hoe moet 'n ouma met 6 kleinkinders nou na gesin kyk? Want sy moet nog met hy 1200, 1300, moet sy nog kos koop, sy moet die kinders se skoolklere koop, sy moet hulle taxifare kry om hulle by die skool te kry. Hoe gemaak nou? Hierdie mense is verantwoordbaar vir die mense op die grond nie. En is 'n bietjie hoogtyd dat die raad van Eskom verantwoordbaar gehou word en dit moet gediversifiseer word. Want as dit 'n staatsmaatskappy is, dan moet alle fasette van die staat daarin betrokke wees. Daar moet van die civil society wees, daar moet van die labor societies wees, daar moet van die gemeenskappe wees en so aan. Maar as hulle nie dit gaan doen nie, dan gaan ons te gronde gaan en dit is basies wat hulle wil hê. Hulle wil vir Eskom nou toevou sodat hulle skuld en hulle goede kan wegsmeer. Competitie sal gesond wees vir Suid-Afrika, dan sal die pryse afkom. Maar ons kan nou nie doen dat daar competitie inkomt terwyl er nog steeds elektrisiteitstekorte is en dat mense nog steeds energiearmoede het in hierdie land. Dit kan nie toegelaat word nie. Ons was beloof dat ons elke huis geelektrifiseer sal hê. Wanneer het dit gebeur? Nog nie. Is dit nog steeds Eskom se doel? Ek glo nie so nie. Hulle doel is om te steel en om geld te maak. En as hulle klaar te veel gesteel het, dan wil hulle vir ons vra vir 'n verhoging. Dit werk nie so nie. Soos ons sê in die Karoo, hy speel met TV nie. Dankie.
Thank you very much for your presentation, and I hope Eskom had it very well. The issues, I want to check if there's any questions. Oh, okay. All right. No, I think your message was very clear. No questions. You made me go All right, going ahead, we are going to have the next presenter. Please, let's reduce the noise, please. We do concerned citizen. Okay, Maria Muloy. 10 minutes. All right, which one is going to go first? Okay. Do you solemnly declare that the facts you're going to present before this panel will be the truth and the whole truth? All right. All right. Ke kopa lebitso la gago le position ya gago go botumela.
Ke Maria Mamukwini Muloy a kana nga kwina le ka bane mo rona jwa. Position ya ka go botumela concerned citizen. I'm a founder of Bitumelo Concerned Citizen.
Oh, all right. Okay. Right.
Yakhuluma.
Okay. Sisi ndicela ukwazi ukuthi uyafunga kwani sibophelele ukuthi lo mfakazi uzabubeka phambi kwale panel today izabe iliqiniso liqiniso liphelele.
Yebo ngiyafunga.
All right. Ndicela uchoke igama lakho nesikhundla osiphetheyo lapha kuBitumelo Concerned Citizen.
Okay. Igama lami nguNompumelelo
Innocentia Madubane. Gibuya Gubonghono project, community project, Orange Farm, Drizikwan, ni organizer.
You can start, sister.
Julius Tulo. Kilebo hela hore Julius Tulo rona ka jene ke nne. Re bua ka gender equality. Thank you, madam. Or beile ka mo pele tsule. Re la re ko mora. Ka se re la re bidwa mpa re bida e ka mo. Ha ke tlo bua ntse ngata mona. Ke nana di points di bua hetse. Di buitse buile mona di buile puo e utlwahalang ka hara setjhaba se teng ka mona. Ntho e re lelang rona re le community badulasetulo ba ka bontate le mme re lela taba ya hore re kopa motlakase o less ka tsela efeng o sa tlo patalwang hobane re a bona hore ha re nka motlakase o patalwang re tsa batho ba bang ba be rich rona e be le hore lapile ke kopa Eskom mme Nersa le ntate Nersa ke kopa le mpotsetse Eskom ha bua ka 15% ke ke bokae ke sebetsa jwang bitson la hore ha ke reka electric ke rekang ya 10 rand ke thola 8.87 kilowatt watt sekgwa se le sona ke re sa re tabela sa rona ke na le bothata ba hore ha bo utlwisisi ha e tla moo ke tlo kopa hore Eskom ha kae ka hara community re kopa kae ka va electric ha yulu this side fe ka Gauteng ene ka mo le ka kwa ke ntse re hloka tlhalosetso hobane ha ba re botsa community morena ha o ntse go jwetsa ka hore Eskom o batla 15% ha o tata so bile o go jwetsa hore e tlo ba 45% ha e etsa 3 years o bua ka Maria hobane jalo wa rekaka gona ntshwano ntse bua na ke itse mme ba ka ke kopa go jwetsa mehleng ya rona ne re hola TV ne re bapala ka betri ne re sena bothata ne re shebella generation ya mehleng fela hona ba re kana re phela ka thata bitsong la hore ho sona le ntho e bitswang electricity ene ho thwe e fefluwa ka mashala le metsi tsena ha di ketile ntho tse ntsa teng di costa rona di tla ho rona hona jwale re bua tjena ka hara Gauteng re community scarce water scarce I get to that for someone community water scarce so thata ba bona go ho re tlo phela bophelo bona ho fihlela neng re kopa le re thuse hore re fihlelle taba ena o thwa ke renewable energy re bone di solar panel tsena ha ke bala ka mona ka mitrend na le difeme tse dileng di hlommeng ke bona hantle wa sebedisa ntho ka reng ke yona ya letsatsi e bang e tla thusa ha fela Eskom a ntsa go batla ho eketsa tšhelete e le go rona ka mo nna ke le Maria Mamukwini Moloi ke kholla ngwana a le mong ke le single parent e sa sebetse ke kholla 400 rand ke fepa le lapa la bana ba bararo e mong wa bona a tlabeng a ye university mara a tsena tšhelete o misa e mong ntse le sekolo ba ba le ntse ba le sekolo nna ke tlo kgona jwang hore ke ipatale 15% ene ke sa tseng ka po ke 15000 ka po ke 15 rand ka po ke 15 cent ke tlo kgona jwang ke tlola di 12.5 ya phofo e bang ho ekeditswe tšhelete le ho twang ke VAT dijo ya ba di a lulwa ke take ile ke 400 rand ke a lebo
ngibingelele futhi etafuleni elikhulu ngizobingelela umphakathi wonke okhona ngunompumelelo nje nami ngumthunywa wabongkhono community project sikhala kakhulu ngendlela uEskom enza ngayo ngaphambi kokuthi ngibeke konke njena engicelayo nje ka-Eskom, I would like Eskom members, please, instead of asking for 15% for the next 3 years, can you please really don't give any bonuses to your bosses for the next 3 years. Take that money, count it, and see how much. Then you can come so we can talk. Orange Farm kakhulu akunabantu abasebenzayo. Ogogo nomkhulu ibona basigadile emizini yethu. Into enhlupha kakhulu ile mindeni ebhekwe izingane ezineminyaka ewu14. Uthola ukuthi ingane inazo ihlobo, inoma mkhulu. Uma mkhulu ufikile la ekhaya, wathatha ama birth certificate, wathatha ama death certificate abazali, wahamba ubhalisa i-foster care mayiqeda wanyamalala. Lo mntwana ona 14 years uhleli ugade ona 7, ugade ona 5 endlini. Bese eza kumina, mina ngithi hayi kukhona lento abayibiza i-indigent. Ahambe aye Eskom. Please Eskom, if you can do workshops to your employees, so maybe they can learn how to speak to people. Because if you go there, if you are a granny, they will ask you questions. They will ask you, those ladies there, I'm sorry to say I'm a lady, but those ladies there, they will ask you, how many kids do you have? You tell them 3, but they're all married. How can't they help you, or can't their husbands help you to pay? If it's those kids, child-headed kids, they will ask, where are your families? Where are your aunts, uncles, and everything? What sort of a question is that? Yes, in this kind of kumula, singono, ema office ase Eskom. Siya kanjani kusasa? Because mawucabanga ukuthi batheni izolo, awusakwazi ukuya. Abantwana bagogo basebenzela imizi yabo. Abasebenzeli umuzi kagogo, basebenzela nabo izingane zabo. Kukhona lento le esikhulumayo kuyilungelo lethu le free basic electricity. Ingakho nje ngisho ukuthi siyakhumuliswa lapha ema-office ngoba siyafuna ukwazi ukuthi isebenzela obani, inikwa obani, makwenze njani, nini, kanjani, ngoba mawufika lapha lana angeke usacabanga. Cheledi ngeke uzucabanga ukubuyela kusasa lapha yana. Ezosho lo yasisi, athi okay ke hamba ufuna konke ubuye kusasa. Angeke uzubuyela kusasa mawuzwe imibuzo azobuza yona lapha yana. So impela sihluphekile. Inkulumo yabathunywa base-Eskom zosho njalo. Ngizwile lana. Kodwa khona yedwa oke wathi enkulumeni yakhe, we as Eskom, we would like to meet with communities. Not even a single one. Oke washo nje ukuthi thina sizazoke siye lapha yana. There was one lady who said, yes, we may not be scientists, but we are not dumb, we are not fools. We know. Siyafunda futhi. If you can come to us, ask us, what do we need? Then sikwazi ukuthi sinitshele. Ngibuye futhi madam ngibe nenkinga ngo-Eskom. Eskom akawuqeda umsebenzi wakhe. Engawuqeda umsebenzi wakhe uyaxabanisa. Mina ngihlale Orange Farm last year February. Ufikile u-Eskom wathi uzofaka ama-prepaid. Guess what? Ufake ezindlini eziyi-3 wajampa eziyi-5, wafaka kweziyi-5 wajampa eziyi-4 futhi. Uyazi ukuthi ukhona okhokhayo, khona ongakhokhi lana. Manje uyasiqabanisa. Ubuntu buyaphelela okushini ngenxa ka-Eskom. Why u-Eskom engathumeli abantu? Asisho ukuthi asifuna ukukhokha, But why Eskom engathumela abantu uma ezitshela ukuthi okay ngizofika eOrange Farm enze i-meeting asho ukuthi from the 1st of February until the 1st of April ngizofaka i-Orange Farm yonke from extension 1 to extension 10, from Drizik 1 to Drizik 10. Then the 1st of May nonke nizobhadala 100 rand each household. Mawucabanga ngathola malini? Because let's just be honest, in our townships we don't pay. There are those that are paying, there are those that don't pay. But if Eskom, you could come to us, sit down with us at the end of the day. As I'm making an example, Orange Farm has 10 extensions and 10 Driziks. Let's say each extension has 500 houses. If you can take 100 rand in each and every house, how much can you make per year? Kodwa manje awuzi thina. Inkinga yakho ukuthi awuzi thina uzokhulumisana nathi. Kulo 15% abakhuluma ngawo manje okwamanje. Thina sumphakathi angeke size sikhokhe 15%. Khumbula phela ukuthi kukhona omiddleman. Ispan neShoprite nabo bazifakela kwabo. Mina manje sengizoyokhokha u20 to 25%. Imisebenzi ayikho. Kodwa futhi wena Eskom ungayenza imisebenzi ukuthi bekhona. If i-office ne-office ungakwazi ukuthi mawufika emalokishini wethu uvule i-office lapha uvule i-office lapha uvule i-office lapha lapho sizokwazi ukuthi sithenge ugesi direct kuwe. Uthi mawusho ukuthi kunyuke ngo5% ngazi ukuthi nami ngizothenga kunyuke lo5% ngoba manje angeke uze kube njalo. Izoyaphezulu le mali ngoba khona middleman. Can't you cut out all those middlemen? Umasipala abo Shoprite Pick and Pay zonke lezi zitolo thina sumphakathi sithenge nje kuwe. Ngokwenza njalo lawa office ozohamba wavula ucreate umsebenzi, abantwana bethu bazosebenza. Okay, ngizocela nje ukuthi ngivale ngokuthi ngaso sonke isikhathi Eskom you talk about Soweto debt. Soweto is owing you. Everyone knows that Soweto is owing you. Even my 15-year-old daughter knows. But let's just be honest. There is money that is missing at Eskom. And you always talk about investigation, but there's no answer. My question to you, can't you take that debt of Soweto, just turn a blind eye as you turned the blind eye inside the Eskom and start the
Thank you very much, Sisi. Any questions? No questions? I think Sisi will violate Sisi. The comment or question?
It's not a question, that's a comment. I noted that there was this customer service survey that the result was presented by Eskom. I think it would be appreciated if they can do this, because so far everything is pointing to what was presented.
Okay, thank you very much. Eskom has heard you. I hope Eskom is going to add some of these presentations to what we've already prepared, so that it's not final what is before us. Can we then move on to hear Temo Jiani from Sanko, Ward 20. Useke ngaphambili unikile ke elathuba benthenza ukunika ukuthembisile mina then ke manje sokutholela thuba benthenza ukunikeza cela ukuqhubele eduzane nomboko lo futhi
okay
alright yebo cela uphakamisana sakho sasekunene uyafunga uzibophelela ukuthi ubungqina ozobunikeza phambi kwale panel namhlanje isa kube iliqiniso neqiniso liphelele
ngiyafuma
uyafuna kanti ubasesesifuna
help me God
oh okay alright ke kopa o re fele bitso la gago le position ya gago go ward 20
nna ka lebitso ke nna Thabiso wa Masweu ke deputy secretary for ward 20 Konale ke a leboha
right ntate ke kopa ntate a emise letsogo a motese
Dumelang para ntate.
Ya bo.
Oh, ya kuluma.
Ya kuluma.
Okay. Ingaba baba uyafunga kwaye usibophelele ukuthi ufakaze ukuthi uzawubeka phambi kwale panel namhlanje izabele iliqiniso neqiniso liphelele.
Inkosi ngisize ngathi ngakhuluma iqiniso neqiniso lonke.
Yabonga kakhulu. Ngicela ubaba asiphe igama lakhe nesikhundla siphetheyo lapha kusasa.
Ngukhiza ngakabheka uSanko 51 ngu-organizer. Sithanda ukubonga kakhulu ipanel ekhona namhlanje ithe yasibizela le meeting le kule meeting le sibonge ke nabahlali abakhona nezikhulumi ezikhona eziye zakhuluma siyazibonga kakhulu nani esikhona asinishiyi ngaphandle siyanibonga noma ke ningekho emgangathweni wale lokhu esiyidingayo kodwa siyabonga nje ukuba khona kwenu sizozwa izikhalo zethu ukuthi iziphi but engifuna ukubeka la bengizokwenza i-appeal encane bengizo-aphila kancane kuNersa ukuthi Nersa next time uma nisibiza sicela nisiphe nathi amadokhumenti sizokwazi ukupheruza njengani ngoba nipheruza lapho sithi kungena emkholweni
asiwatholanga nathi kunganasiwathola manje
sithi singene emkholweni sibe sesipheruzile ukuthi yini lento esizokhuluma ngayo ngidluleke lapho ngingene la emkholweni ka-Eskom u-Eskom uma ngikhumbula kahle sike sabhadala 23.80 uma kube abanye bayazi yebo sibiza i-flat rate iSoweto yonke iyayibhadala and u-Eskom wayeyithola ngobuningi imali yakhe and eqebile-ke ngaleso sikhathi hayi manje singathi manje akaqebanga kodwa khona abacebile sibuye singene la u-Eskom kade anabantu abaphuma kuma-blocks wethu abathi representayo kwakuthiwa ama-block reps namhlanje lawo ma-block reps awasekho singazi-ke Eskom ukuthi yini maybe uzakasicacisele ukuthi kwenzeke kanjani kwaphela ama-block reps ngabe namhlanje asikho kule nkinga esikuyo ukube lawo ma-block reps atakhona ngoba information besizoyithola qala manje information asisayitholi ngibuya-ke ngingenela u-Eskom akezi kuma-public meeting sisaphinda futhi lokho siyakusho uma kube uthumele umuntu ongazi esithi noma ngabe ubuza ikhweshini athi ngisayokhonsala zibuze-ke umbuzo-ke ukuthi lo muntu usawukhonsala ubuya ngo-19 bani siqaleke-ke manje ukuthi-ke kahle kahle kathi lo muntu othunyelwe la kanti isitori sakhe akasazi noma bamthathile nje futhi sekuthi hamba nje ngoba usebenza ka-Eskom ngibuya-ke ngingene futhi kwelinye iphuzu u-Eskom siney'ngane ezingasebenzi ucreate nini umsebenzi ukuthi zigubhe la esihlaleni okanye zingene zifundise ogogo bethu nomkhulu bethu. Uqhathani nekulasilela namhlanje ukuthi uqhathani sizokwazi ukufaka amasidi noma sesikhuphile sizofaka amasidi. Bathi esikhuluma ukusho-ke njengombutho wabahlali ngithi nonke nilana nilembutho yabahlali asihlanganeni, come together kusukela namhlanje. Uyabona ezinye izinto kumele sibe vocal, asiyekeni ukuba bonesi basebharakwane njalo, kumele sibe vocal ngoba lento i-affecta thina. Abanye abantu bayasutha bayabhenefitha ngale nto i-affecta thina. Kodwa engikushoyo ukuthi-ke thina sikhala ngo-flat rate, sike sikakhuluma-ke no-Eskom sakhuluma nge-flat rate, wathi hayi sikhuluma ngo-flat rate, wathi uNersa wenza kanje, uNersa ulapho. Kusho ukuthi nje wayedoda nje ngesimako ukuthi asakakhulumi noNersa, wathi i-flat rate angakayivumeli. Thina-ke bahlali sithi sifuna i-flat rate. Kodwa before sizokhuluma nge-flat rate no-Eskom akasule zonke lezikweleti ezikhona. Ngoba lezikweleti ezikhona bafethu masibhalela iy'ncwadi kuthiwa sinabo 78,000 uma ngabe ngathi nekhampani egaya izimpo or egaya i-78,000 layithatha kuyi-78,000 ngokwabo. Sikhuluma nge-flat rate sithi Eskom namhlanje ngoba sizokhuluma sikhuluma nge-flat rate. Haya Eskom sithi kule 15% hayi unothe chaye phansi kwathumuthi Nersa ungalingi ngoba nawe ngokwakho uyosho inyama ungalingi ngobani singakavumi thina badala yini kumele sivume. And okugcina sengizofaka i-college yami nginganikhithela isikhathi. Okugcina engizokusho Eskom, please usisuke wakhuluma la asingathi uma sifika lapha ka-Eskom ugogo awelwe i-main-switch lapha ebhokisini elikhulu, engeke ngilibize lapha ku-green box ebhokisini elikhulu kuthiwe go letha 6,000 before sikhanyisele. Nithi ugogo ayithathephi 6,000 ondla abantwana abawu-4 bethu thina abazukulu bethu abondla lapha ekhaya, nithi ayithathephi? And 2 siyacela nifundise abafowethu laba abalapha ema-ofisini ukukhuluma nabantu. Ukhuluma engathi ukhuluma nomntwana ona-1 month, athi ngithi phuma uma ungafuni ukulalela lento engikutshela yona. Kanti umlungu wakhe ubani? Ngoba yini umlungu wakhe? Angithi ubhadalwa yithi? Eskom angithi ngithanda mali, kusho lo muntu ubhadalwa yithi kanti. Asibeke kanjalo. Bathi-ke bengithanda ukubuyela kule 32 billion ukuthi ngasafuna ukungena kakhulu ngoba isikhathi esihambile kube besithole isikhathi ngalesa sikhathi. Sizokwazi sike sikhulumeni ngayo kabanzi ngoba every year Eskom uthola imali kodwa nje 5 days to 6 days ayisekho imali. Asazi ukuthi kanti iyaphi imali khona legudela khona ifakwe khona kuthiwa ayisekho. Siyacela-ke naku-government wethu, siyacela naku-government wethu akakayehle abuye phansi azodwa ley'khalazo zethu esikhuluma ngazo ngoba angeke nathi baphampa imali kubantu azi kamhlophe ukuthi abasenzeli lutho. Siyacela-ke kuwe Eskom, sicela-ke la emalokishini wethu ngoba kukhona laba abafaka ama-prepaid, akuzame-ke ukulungisa la mabhox lawo akho lawa okuwafakile manje ngoba phela ngapha kuyabhadalwa ngapha kubhadalwa. Kusho ukuthi wena Eskom uma uqine ngapha uthi lwanini uyasilisa uyakhala ngoba uqima ngapha lo uyakhanyela next door. Mina sengibheka next door kazi ngithi hey lo kusho ukuthi impimpi yangithengisa kanti akunjalo. Kanti siqhathaniswa yini Eskom? Kusukela namhlanje Eskom ley'khalazo zethu siyacela ukuthi masisuka la uyiphendule sithi masibuyele emphakathini yabona awuthi nginteke kanje yeyi sesikhathele yabona manje sonke sokuthenga amateki bafowethu songenani esitradini ayikho le siyabonga ngingasayimoshi mama ngiyabonga hawu ngibonga kakhulu
Kyaleboha bommele bontate kyaleboha le lona baeteledipele ba rona a ke batle gore ke repeate ntho e le goreng sentse e buile taba e sentse e buile le Eskom sentse a le awe ka yona se teng fela se le batlile o se submita ke bothata fela mo go rona fela kore last time rona e se zone 8 zone 8 ke Mulezane Tladi na Lady Jablani kore re lekile ra kopanang kaofela esintho kore re batla o provela Kasim hore no mo Soweto doesn't mean re batla o patala. We must raya go di officing tsa Eskom raya go Eskom ra Eskom the community have decided hore they will pay a flat rate they are 150 only if you agree. The response here is coming here. Bona they don't deny that. And secondly, they cannot approve that. Only Nersa is the one who can determine that. Now, Eskom is transferring us to you. Already Nersa about the 150. Now the community is saying, no, we are going to pay 100 rand and not 150. And now you see the majority. Now you see the majority of the members of the community are saying that. I want to remind you, Kasim, remember in 1976, what happened in 1976? What the people started in 1976. And I just want to know this question. Basically, it's straight for Nersa. I just want to know who's Nersa. Nersa Kema. Actually, who is the person who's sitting on that board? I'm not saying those people. Like for instance, what is happening? Ronald took the invitation through the local media, and whereas our local councillors don't know about such things. And now you as Nersa don't communicate with our local councillors, inform them about such hearings. Remember what happened to say, we wanted to find out from you, we raised up our hands, whereas there are procedures. There were procedures that we were supposed to follow. Now you have to indicate to, okay, now I'm a chairperson. And then lastly I want to say, Kasim, I know for Eskom we do have millionaires. The executive of Eskom is millionaires. They are millionaires. Per annum they get millions. You see this community here, I don't think even one here is getting $1 million per annum. Now I believe that you have to think for us. You don't have maybe to say the people have to. You have to think for us. If we decided that as members of the community, we are saying we are prepared. We are prepared to pay the 100 rand flat rate, and not when, but whenever you agree to whatever. We are not saying the 15%. No. We are pleading with Nersa not to grant the 15%. Up until you come back to us and tell us what do you think about the proposal of the community and what you think it should be done.
All right, we thank you very much. I think your message was very clear to Eskom, to Nersa as well. Nersa is supposed to be independent. It doesn't interact with stakeholders, but we've got the executives at Nersa, that are supposed to communicate, so the board cannot engage, just like we cannot engage with ESCOM. We are simply adjudicators. We must adjudicate so that we can maintain our independence, and we are a board of about 9 members. 4 are full-time, 5 are part-time. So each of these ones, they've got specific roles to play, the ones that are full-time. So what we do, when we receive an application, we come to the public organized by these members that have no opportunity of dealing with ESCOM or any other. Once the application is before us, we cannot communicate it to anyone. We have to come to a public space like this and then try to understand for ourselves, and then the Nersa executives and everyone will then analyze and bring it to us to take a decision. So we're only operating at that level.
Okay, thank you, my leader. So thank you, Chairperson.
We are a watchdog. We are a watchdog. We're a regulator. We're not representing ESCOM at all. We are balancing the interest and making sure that utility does not fail because the country needs it. But we must make sure that the one that supplies electricity is held accountable, and it must operate efficiently and protect the asset of the state.
Thank you, madam. But remember what I was encouraging, because this time what is happening, we do have this kind of Busasa vault, whereby you can be given so much, then you approve this. Yeah, at the end of the day, we don't want.
It's not us. It's not us.
Thank you,
we don't have any interest I want to check if we have Tebo Hojiani. Tebo Hojiani? Not here. Not here, okay. Ubaleki, Mzimkulu Shulakam. Okay, the handwriting here, they wrote it, they didn't type. Right. Molo that. That is Teta. Okay. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly declare that the facts you're going to present before this panel will be the truth and the whole truth?
I will speak the truth and only the truth.
Thank you very much. Please state your name in full and your designation at National Governance Movement.
My name is Mzimkulu Shalukana. I'm the chairperson of the National Governance Movement.
Okay, thank you very much. You may start with your presentation.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity from Nersa. I'm not going to waste much of the time because a lot has been spoken. Madam Chair, you've asked a lot of questions from ESCOM, and whilst they were answering, there was a lot that they said that they were going to answer at mid-rank. Now it leaves us baffled. This is a public hearing. We should be hearing from ESCOM. ESCOM says that no, we'll speak to you at mid-rank. So ESCOM is reducing this particular hearing as an interview between itself and Nersa. Probably it could have been done better in a boardroom somewhere, but it's okay. We want to speak to a number of things. Some of the questions that you were asking was that can they give an absolute figure on their generation, distribution, transmission, plus labor. We didn't get anything from that particular point of view. So we can't see where is the source of them asking for the 15%, because that 15% would be coming from a point of view where they say that we are using 5 billion rand for coals, we are giving our electricity to municipalities for distribution, they add this much, we get this much, and all those particular things. So all that particular information we didn't get. When you were asking a lot of questions, what we could detect was that there was inefficient management at ESCOM. And if there is inefficient management at ESCOM, why are they asking for money? Are they asking for more money to waste? Because if they can't afford to manage well all the resources that they had, then there was a problem. When Ted was presenting, he said that ESCOM told them that they've got a 2.1 trillion assets. Those are huge assets. And it says that ESCOM is self-sufficient because even the budget of the country is about 1.4 trillion rands that they get a year. So if ESCOM has got an asset of 2.1 trillion, that means ESCOM is self-sufficient. Why do they want money? We want to speak to a number of issues, but we want to direct this first to ESCOM. ESCOM, you are compromised. Everybody that speaks of ESCOM, the only thing that they think of is fraud. And when Pagamilo was presenting and saying that ESCOM is talking of IPPs, why do you talk of IPPs when you couldn't give us a clear indication of the money that is in your hand currently? You are saying you want to get IPPs because you want to pay for IPPs, and probably you'll be using organizations like EdLife and other organizations that speaks to the environment because you want your IPPs to be given the money of ESCOM. So that means you want to perpetuate the fraud that is happening at ESCOM. We wouldn't like to support that. One of the presentation you showed us the Mudupi and Kusile. You tell us that they are sulfur free, and you are showing us 6 turbines. You are showing us the stack of 220 meters and boilers of 110 meters. Where does that fit? Because if the boilers that we saw is that money has already been spent, because the construction companies couldn't have put those boilers up there and wait for 15%. Those boilers were there and the money has been used already. Why do you show us this? Because you are looking for 15% more money. Why do you show us only the money that has been used? That money would be in the 2 trillion assets that you are talking about. So you are talking of challenges that your boilers are overheating, and ESCOM has been a company that has been in existence probably for over 40 years. Now, where is the company knowledge in maintaining and even producing new boilers or new technology? Where are the engineers? Where are the people that are paid according to TED's figures? The people are paid around 800,000 a year. Where are those people in designing the technology that could address these particular problems that you are talking about? So you are very much showing that you are having a problem as managers of the institution. So I would speak to the regulator and say to the regulator, because you should be at one point representing our interest, and you are saying as the regulator you take the standard or the value of transparency, of good governance. So if there is good governance, can we as ordinary people from Soweto take this as ESCOM? If it was a municipality, would say that let it go for, what do they call the regulation, somebody taking over a municipality. Can Nersa, through the laws that you know, look at a possibility of taking over the management at ESCOM and working towards developing it, develop that management and make it efficient, so that your duty is to ensure that we do get electricity. So we don't get electricity regularly. Business has died People have lost jobs. In Soweto here, people are buying amakota, nabenza amakeke. When electricity is shut down for 5 days, they are out of business. And when they are out of business, the people that they were buying mealie and flour from are losing the customers and they retrench people. So Eskom is a very vital cog for the economy of the country. And if Eskom is not well managed, then jobs are going to be lost, and we'll see the competition between political parties and making our country unstable. And we are getting these Moody's and Fitch and every other organization downgrading our country, because at the center of the problem of economic development is Eskom. So here is our submissions to Nersa. We are saying no to tariff hikes. Eskom has got sufficient money to run itself currently without getting money from anybody else. The assets that we talk about and the Eskom that we know can make that money. We are saying no to unbundling and privatization of Eskom. We don't want Eskom to be subdivided, because immediately Eskom is subdivided and they will be opening for private companies to come in. Companies, they only come for profit. Yes. They are not going to say that, no, we love the people of South Africa, we'll spend more money and then they will get a flat rate. So no unbundling of Eskom and privatization. No retrenchment of workers. The 48,000 workers at Eskom should be regulated, and they should be linked to skills that they should provide for the generation, transmission and distribution of electricity. We are saying no load shedding and power cuts to households. This must stop with immediate effect. Apartheid government was running Eskom efficiently. The only thing is that it was not supplied to the rest of South Africans. But they were selling electricity to the neighboring countries without fail. There was no load shedding in Zimbabwe. There was no load shedding in Mozambique. There was no load shedding even in South Africa. We don't want that nonsense anymore. Stop that. Do not mothball our power stations. Do not bring in your friends so that you tell your friend to supply diesel, coal, and to come and give us green boxes. We don't need those green boxes. You are wasting money by giving gadgets that are not necessary in the distribution and transmission of electricity. We are saying that you are going to cancel all debts in Soweto. The debts are created by yourself. You have closed all the service points. You are failing to collect your own revenue. You force people to go to institutions where they are paying more. Then you do not bill correctly. You use estimations. You come to an old lady who can afford up to 300 rand a month. You give them a debt of 15,000. You shock them. You say to them, you are not going to pay that 15,000 because you only have 300 rand a month. Then they stop paying. All the grannies in Soweto, they are looking for somewhere where they can pay for their electricity. They are not thieves. They don't want to steal electricity, but you make them appear as such. We demand a flat rate for all households. We are not going to discriminate among South Africans. We are going to have a flat rate for even white people. We are not going to call them Abonuankulu and whatever. They are South Africans. And Eskom is a South African institution. We own it. Don't be baffled. Don't fool yourself and say that you own Eskom. You are managing it on our behalf. So we are going to tell you, how are you going to manage our institution? We say that ESCOM must put money into the economy to create more jobs. ESCOM has got money, ESCOM has assets. Put money into the economy. The people from the mines and factories and other institutions, including the labor unions, when they say that there should be job creation, there should be more people working, ESCOM is at the center of that. So you are going to put money, because we are going to give you our money, but we want you to put that money into our economy, not into Dubai and elsewhere in your shenanigan accounts somewhere. We support the culture of service payment. Everybody was talking here. They told you one thing and the same. We want to pay, and we are willing to pay, and we are going to pay. We are pushing for a drive to put into ESCOM 102 billion annually. But don't think that money you are going to give to your friends. That 100 billion, we are going to tell you how to use it, each and every cent of it. And we'll invite Nersa to have an eagle eye on that. To say that we have given ESCOM 102 billion rand. This money, we are talking about money that comes only from households. And small businesses. We haven't spoken about the mines. We haven't spoken about large industries. We are not talking about big businesses. And we want the people like Hemen Mashaba not to come and take money from us to augment their management of towns. When I was growing up, I knew that in Johannesburg, because we challenged them at one point. I was in Orlando East, we had electricity. The 38 rand that Comrade Case I was talking about, we were paying that. Yes. And it was lesser than 38 rand. But at one point we realized that people are staying in bigger houses in Johannesburg, but they pay lesser than us. We asked, then they told us about the two systems, that no, you belong to Bantu authorities. Then we belong to South Africa. And then we demanded one city, one tax base, because we wanted to enjoy the benefits that white people were paying. Because what they said to us was that the white families are subsidized by the companies that were working. Now we know for a fact that every city, it's people's workhorse, and we appreciate that. Now we need those companies to work. ESCOM make all the companies in Johannesburg to work. You find that people are unemployed because you are charging exorbitant electricity, and you make businesses to go and invest elsewhere. Stop that nonsense. It's nonsense. Allow business to invest in South Africa. Care for them. Create a platform for business to invest in South Africa. We can't sell our land and go to China and ask the Chinese to come and have a factory, because immediately we give the China a factory on 40,000 hectares. They own that land. And when we want to talk, then we know that the people, foreigners, are owning South Africa, and South Africans do not. All right, thank you. I'm done. That was our last point.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. All right, we thank you very much. The members here, they don't have questions. I think your messages are very clear with all the proposals and resolutions from your side. And ESCOM has had you. Thank you very much, Edmund, for your time. All right, at this point in time, we'd like to call upon ESCOM to come forward and respond. All right, can I start with Mr. Conrad to take off? May you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly declare that the evidence you are going to present before this panel is the truth and the whole truth?
I do.
Please state your name and your designation at ESCOM for the record.
Dion Murari, Senior Manager Electricity Pricing.
Thank you very much.
Chairperson, thanks a lot. I think, there were a lot of key points that were raised here today, and we will try to touch on all of them. In particular, firstly, let's start from the basis of the new board and what we're doing in terms to deal with the corruption. We'll present today the updated stats on our investigations, etc. At the end of the day, these things do take time. And in terms of the process, we are definitely dealing with all the criminal agencies in terms of that. But from ESCOM's perspective in participating and cooperating, we can only give our information to a certain stage. Then it's for those institutions to take it forward. But Chairperson, I'll present today, and maybe in mid-term, maybe we can get one of our legal people to come and explain more around that. But I think the big messages today was around Soweto debt and the flat rate, and the 6 billion is the number that currently exists in terms of Soweto debt. If you exclude any interest, and Dion will talk around tariff structures and affordability. Maybe the other point, which was, from my perspective, quite difficult to hear, is how you treat people as customer service. At the end of the day, my philosophy is to treat a person as a human being first and show them respect, and I think they will give that in return. So that's an item I'll definitely take back to the management and pass on that to the distribution, customer services, group exec and management. I honestly definitely believe that that's what a person needs to do. Chairperson, I think in terms of the issues, load shedding, as we said, it's a system. Based on the performance where we are, we're dealing with the 9-point recovery plan. I think it's difficult for us as ESCOM to say we can guarantee there will be no load shedding. The technical guys are doing the best to meet the demands of the country. It does come at costs, etc. But if there are one or two unforeseen circumstances, that does increase the risk of not meeting supply and demand. So let me go into the fraud and an update from ESCOM as at end of December. So as I said, we are committed to dealing with corruption. The 14 implicated senior executives have exited. There are some outstanding disciplinaries that we need to deal with. 12 criminal cases are open. 5 of them involve 99 senior executives. There was 1,049 outstanding cases as at April last year. We finalized 934 and 115 are still under consideration. In terms of the whistleblowing, 295 cases under investigation, 140 have been completed. What we've done, and like we said last year, at our senior level, which is basically the top structure of about 400 people, we all subject to lifestyle audits, including the employee, the spouse, and if they have any minor children. And then based on that, if there's a need to take further action, that is currently underway. In terms of suppliers, we saying as ESCOM we need to look at our employees first, but you need to look at the other side of the coin as well, in terms of which suppliers were involved in these questionable transactions and supply. Now, we are looking at that, and as I said, We've concluded on the McKinsey transaction. We've gone to court around trillion, and there are some other suppliers that we're currently looking at in terms of a legal process. Obviously, some of this, as the Nersa rules allow for, where it's confidential in nature, we do submit that to the regulator, and that's why we'll have to get our legal guys to come and maybe present on some of the processes. At the end of the day, we are committed to it, but it doesn't happen overnight in terms of concluding certain of these transactions that we're busy underway. And you know, in terms of the controls and the procedures, Eskom is a big organization, 48,000. We focus on the big transactions. Obviously, we need to continue that work and go down to lower levels in the organization. So Chairperson, in terms of the fraud, that's where we are, and as I said, we can maybe in mid-range deal with it from a more the process in detail from what the legal guys are saying. But I think the big item today is around affordability that you've touched on, the flat rate, and I'll let Dion explain that. But we know that Eskom only distributes about half the electricity to the country. Eskom does have a big industrial and commercial base where we currently already have a cross-subsidy that's embedded in the tariffs. But however, some of the municipalities, they're not in this position where they could look to potentially cross-subsidize. So I'm just responding to the comment of I think one of the last speakers, a flat rate for all consumers, and I think that's whereas the regulator, you know, they will have to look to see how that, because they also regulate the municipalities in terms of electricity, whether that can be done. But that is Nersa's jurisdiction. We will talk from an Eskom perspective. Chairperson, but maybe now let me hand over to Dion.
Thank you, Chair. I think Mr. Kassim has given the gist of it, but I just want to give a little bit more detailed context so that we understand how these processes work. First of all, before I'm going to go into that more detail on that, I also just want to give some feedback in terms of, because I've picked up that again there might be a confusion in terms of who's accountable for what. When it comes to the affordable electricity for low income households, Eskom has a Homelight 20 amp tariff, which are actually our lifeline tariff, or the tariff for low income households for the poor. Of our 6 million customers, almost 5.9 million is on the Homelight 20 amp, and they only utilize about 100 kilowatt hour per household, 90% of them in block 1 of the inclining block rate. Therefore, government, Nersa and Eskom, all of us play a role in trying to protect the poor. And I think from a government perspective, the Department of Energy is involved in the electrification program. They facilitate the connection of the poor customers to networks. So they provide electrification funding. That is in terms of the country's constitution and laws. That is provided, the person that indicates where it should happen, the electrification should take place, is within the municipal, because we have wall-to-wall municipalities. So they will tell Eskom if there are areas within the Eskom supply area where electrification needs to be done. There's a big energy electrification plan that takes place, and that's been guided by money that's provided by government and by direction from the municipalities to provide that. But that already is a subsidy that's outside of the tariff. So government support the poor to have actually access to electricity. The second one is the free basic electricity. And again, Eskom can't decide on anything of these things. And I know the Chair said Eskom take accountability, but we have to run within the legislation that's there. And again, the legislation indicates that the constitutional accountability for that is within local authorities. So they get money for free basic electricity through a grant fund, in the equitable share fund that goes to municipalities. And they will, Eskom just act as an agent on their behalf again, and they will provide the free basic electricity to the customers in their areas. Unfortunately, there again, the government only provides 50 kilowatt hours. That's what government pays through the equitable share fund. Then municipalities, and you've heard the executive mayor this afternoon in Johannesburg, they've decided that they will provide 150 units. But that difference between the 50 and the 100 units is then carried by the local municipality. So in your Johannesburg's case, they only get money for 50 kilowatt hours per household, and the other 100 they provide there. Eskom then do the implementation of the FEE also on behalf of municipalities. Then over the last couple of years, especially the Homeline 20 Amp, which is a lifeline tariff, but as Caleb has indicated, is that there's about half the customers in South Africa where that tariff is subsidized. Nersa has introduced an affordability subsidy in MYPD 3, the start of it, where the customers on that tariff, they don't see the full impact of price increases every year. They see a lower price increase than the average increase. That's also a subsidy. And I'll get to where does that money come from, but that money must come from somewhere. I mean, that is a definite principle. And then Nersa also implement inclining block rate. Now the inclining block rate is the block you pay a little bit for the first block, then for the next block. But it has different consequences. It was implemented in a time when it worked to actually reduce the usage of electricity. So the higher you use, the less units you get. What happens now is the people that are sitting there and pay higher, they can afford to do more efficient uses. So that as a tariff has become, in a sense, a bit ineffective. Then we talk about the increase 15%. And again, I just want to put this a little bit into perspective. This does not include, this numbers does not include the free basic electricity 50 kilowatt hours. So that means for the first 50 kilowatt hours, if you are, and because the definition is indigent, or if you get the free basic electricity of 50 kilowatt hours, then you will not pay for that first bit. So you will, if you only use 50, you will not pay for it. You only start to pay when you go to the following block. But if you increase your usage, or if you have 50 kilowatt hours, the increase in what you pay is 7 Rand per month. If you use 150 kilowatt hours, the increase, Eskom price will increase from 147 to 169, which is an increase of 22 Rand. That is if the full 15% is implemented. So I think it's important to understand how does it touch your pockets, which is also important. Then lastly, Chair, I think it's also important to understand the different processes. Because again, there are processes that we need to follow from a statute perspective. And many speakers has referred to it. They talked about who should make the policies and who is the implementers. And I think Earthlight's first slide has very clearly indicated from legislation what the different roles are. This process we're busy with here, and yes, it is an opportunity, and we've listened clearly to what the community has said today, and we've taken note. As Caleb has indicated, the local operating units people, they were here, and they've heard what's been said, and they will take it back. But the process here is to determine the amount of money, the cost that Nersa is prepared. That's the scrutinize what people, some of the speakers said, scrutinize the Eskom cost that we think we should have. They scrutinize it and then they decide what is prudent, efficient, what is that money that Eskom should be getting. And once that decision is made, Eskom must get that money to survive and not go down and take the economy with. So we have to recover that amount of money that is a result of this process. And once this process is completed, at that stage, then Mr. Kasim says, okay, I've got the money now, go away and recover the money from customers. And then I have to make sure that I get back to the amount of money that's been approved by Nersa that is efficient and prudent. And so I have to recover that. If I don't recover it, Eskom will not financially be sustainable. So that's the catch-22 that we sit in with. So once the tariffs are designed, if one group pays less, another group must pay more. And in that process, we have in 2013, in our public hearings in MYPD 3, we've already pleaded, and we've pleaded years before that it's time that government steps in as well, and that we establish a national cross-subsidy framework that integrates with the country's national development plan, so that we all move into the same direction. But we haven't seen that happening, because from international practice, from the law that you've seen that Earthlife has showed there are distinct roles. Those policies are made by government. The regulator must make sure they must develop rules around the policy, and Eskom must make sure that that is implemented. And that makes it very difficult from that perspective. Yes, we can make proposals, but then we must make proposals that's sustainable. And again, the challenge that we have, and we've heard, again I want to say we've heard what you say there, but from that perspective is we have to look at the numbers, and if we don't recover the revenue that Nersa has allowed us, we need, somebody must make good for the shortfall. And Eskom cannot be player and referee, so somebody must tell us who should pay more. At the moment, the large industries are paying more, and you've heard them today, you've heard them in the last 3 weeks. They are also pleading poverty in terms of affordability because they close down and we lose employment. So there's a huge balance that one needs to sort of achieve there, which makes it quite complex. But just to confirm, the RCA, the processes, despite that, it allows for the regulator to bid subsidies, and they've done it in MYPD 3, where they've already explained the lower prices to the first blocks. And in Rustenburg, we have provided the details with different scenarios if you have lower increases. We've provided it to Nersa as an input of scenarios. But again, against what has been said by industry, somebody must make the decision. If we don't recover that money because we give lower increases there, who must pay more? And if Eskom is in a difficult position there. But I just want to conclude what Mr. Kassam has also said, and that is, we've listened today, we've heard what the community said. As I said, our local people are here. They have been involved in engagement with the communities. Yes, we heard there's maybe room for improvement, and we take note of that, and they are here, and they have taken note, and they take it back to the offices. Thank you.
So, Mr. Conrad? You didn't touch on who comes up with the tariff structures, because Nersa does not propose tariff structures. If today you're asking for 15%, for instance, say Nersa grant it or it doesn't grant it, it grants whatever figure. Who comes up with the tariff structures to say, how am I going to apportion this 15% and get it from where and where? Because that is the part that is not properly communicated to stakeholders out there, as if it is Nersa who takes that decision. Yet we only look at the requests and we make a decision.
That is correct. I think I have mentioned it. I said we developed the structures in terms of how that should be done, but I can again just explain how it is done. Once Nersa has decided on the prudent cost that Eskom can recover, we take that cost, that approval of the MYPD, this process. Then in terms of a model, we allocate that to the different cost allocation model to all the different customers to see what the costs are. And if you do that, then that's why I say if you don't have to look at the prices only, you look at what is the cost to supply a customer versus at the price they pay, and that's where cross subsidies come in. So we allocate the cost to the different customers, and from that the utility designs the tariffs. There are precedents where Nersa has implemented the tariff, they've implemented the IPT, and I think the legislation also allows them to do that because the precedent is there. But the ideal is that the utility do that. And from our perspective is we've brought in the Homelight 20 amp, where we initially just had a single line rate, and which was then with IPT changed to a block rate. So yes, the utility do that, but with the different tariff structures that they have to the different municipalities based on cost. And it's based on the cost of supply. We have to take it back to Nersa because the Electricity Regulation Act clearly states that Nersa has to approve it. And they can, in the proposals, make change what we propose to them. So they have that authority. But the proposals will come from our side. But we still have to follow a public consultation process, and NERSA needs to follow a public consultation process, and we need to get approval from them.
Thank you, Mr. Conradi. So even the proposal on flood rates, it doesn't come to NERSA, it will come to ESCOM.
It will come eventually to NERSA if we can find a solution around it, because we cannot implement tariffs.
No,
it's not been approved.
Thank you very much. I'm just saying that the public today that is here is making an appeal to ESCOM with regards to all of the prices. So ESCOM, when it comes to NERSA, it is up to ESCOM to take into account what the public has been crying about.
Yeah, I think I have said that, Jane. We said we will do that, but we need to, and I think what I've explained is, if we investigate it, and there's a shortfall in terms of whatever, we can't make the decision to solve it.
It's up to ESCOM how it takes it. Fortunately, you have just responded to the public. Yeah. Mr. Kassim?
Chair, yes, just some other key themes that were raised today. Let's just touch on ESCOM profits or losses and bonuses. This is the first time that in my history at ESCOM that we made a decision not to pay bonuses. Our management level did not receive any bonuses. Our management level, middle management, got an inflationary increase. Senior managers got a 0% salary adjustment. Right? So I think in terms of looking at our own cost base and taking the tough decisions, as I said, this is the journey that we are embarking upon as ESCOM. Chair, in terms of renewables and IPPs, again, at the end of the day, it's a policy decision from the Department of Energy, the IRP, whatever IPPs are awarded in terms of the PPAs, those are the costs that we are including in our application. And maybe just on electrification, I think next week we can present some information on electrification, where we are, etc. It's not included in this application because we execute the electrification based on the funding that is awarded through the Department of Energy. Chair, I think we've touched on many of the items that were raised today. Thank you.
I think there's just one follow-up just to make sure that we on the issue of the irregular supplier contracts. I know that you said with regards to the process, the legal team from ESCOM will explain that. However, you did not indicate how many of those irregular supplier contracts. You only said that about 5 of them are no longer supplying. You didn't give us the number of those irregular supplier contracts, number one, the nature of those contracts, and the volumes that are affected by those contracts, right? So we need some details there. And then also you did not indicate how much is involved. For instance, the fact that even with the analysis done last year, in 2018, when we were doing the evaluation of the 3 RCAs, it was very clear that there were huge coal prices or increases, that some of them were above 100% increase. So we need to get clarity on those ones, which ones were affected, and also the quantum of the cost that we're talking about. Yes. All right, Mr. Modisa, I think he has a question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think you don't have to deal with this now. I just have 2 small questions. The first one is, in your previous slide, you seem to obviously criticize our inclining block tariff can you indicate what solutions you think we should come in there instead? What do you think? How do you think we should amend the Indlanium block tariff? And the second thing, again, you don't need to deal with it today. Can you just clarify in clear terms, why is it that the monies you recovered from McKinsey, I know you said you physically received them in 2018, how is it that if the misdemeanors happened during the MYPD 3 period, why is it that adjustment should not be happening during this current RCA, because that covers that MYPD 3 period, notwithstanding that you physically only got repaid now?
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Kassim?
Yeah, we'll come back in midway on the specific question.
Oh, okay, so the additional responses you provided, so they must be also included in the presentations, because it will be easier for the presentation to be distributed.
Yes.
And also will be also put in the Nersa website as well for stakeholders to see how ESCOM has responded, just for practicality purposes and for transparency purposes, as you have heard today.
Yes.
That was the concern.
Thank you, Chairperson.
All right. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, ESCOM, for the response, and we're looking forward then to a much more improved presentation and information, as we have indicated. So we will provide some more time in mid-range, because it will be good that everybody can see how the application has improved and revised to take care of all the concerns that were raised. So we're looking forward to that, and to the commitment made by ESCOM previously that it will take into account all of those factors and revise its application. So we're still looking forward to that commitment. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the public hearing today, and I would like to thank you all for your cooperation and for taking the time to be here today to Soweto. When you came to Soweto, and you have shown that you've got passion and you are here to assist the regulator to take into account all of the issues that are going to impact on these communities, and we appreciate that a great deal, because your voice has been made today. We know what you are saying, what your proposals are. Even if we do not have a document that shows the economic impact on the customers and people on the ground that are going to perhaps suffer as a result of the increase, because we do know that it will hit others very hard on their pockets. So it is important that we hear you. You are part of this process. That's why we brought this gathering here, so that we can give you an opportunity to voice your views. We thank you very much, Nabanda Bakulu, who came all the way here, and just to show that Nersa, we are here. We want to be heard. Please hear us. So we thank you for your time. I would like to thank my colleagues as well for asking the questions and making sure that we do our best here to do our due diligence and make sure that we follow a process that is based on facts and evidence. Would like to thank also the interpreters here and translators who have been with us, and also to thank ESCOM for availing your team. We hope that you will have your team members, all of them, because we are now going to have only 2 sessions of these hearings, and it will be the last interaction with the members of the energy regulator in Midrand. So we hope that you will take the time and the opportunity to present all of the information that we have requested. May I also, I'm being asked here to request that those that were using the headphones for the translation services, so the interpretation services, if you could kindly return them. I think there will be a person right at the door or whichever end there. If you could kindly return those headphones to them. Ladies and gentlemen, let me not delay you further. I know the traffic is probably very bad outside there, but I would like you to have a very good weekend, and with the hope that we are doing our best in evaluating these 2 applications that are before us. Have a great weekend further. Thank you.